Chosen one, listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not ordinary, and it's not something most people are spiritually ready to hear. Someone tried to touch your destiny with darkness. Someone tried to bend your path using witchcraft, envy, and spiritual manipulation. Someone thought they could interfere with what Allah Himself has written for you. But what they didn't know, what they could never understand, is that when you are chosen by Allah, any hand raised against you is a hand raised against the heavens. Any curse sent toward you becomes a curse stamped onto their own life. Any magic done on you becomes a rope they wrap around their own neck. You weren't destroyed by their spells, you were protected from them. You weren't weakened, you were strengthened. And the moment they tried to harm you spiritually was the moment Allah declared war on their injustice. Today, you will understand why their life is collapsing, why their destiny became cursed, and why you, the chosen one, walked out untouched because Allah never abandons the soul He has chosen to carry His light. Chosen one. Understand this with absolute clarity. The moment someone decides to attack a pure-hearted servant of Allah through witchcraft, envy, or spiritual manipulation, their destruction begins instantly, not later, not after consequences appear, but the very second they form the intention. Because a chosen soul is not protected by coincidence, they are protected by decree. Allah Himself defends them long before they even know a battle has started. When a person uses witchcraft on a believer whose heart carries sincerity, humility, and remembrance of Allah, they are not fighting a human, they are fighting divine protection. They are fighting the angels assigned to you. They are fighting the light that surrounds you. They are fighting the Lord of the worlds, and no one survives a war with Allah. That is why their life starts to collapse without explanation. That is why everything they touch begins to rot. That is why their blessings freeze, their health declines, their peace evaporates, and their destiny becomes a battlefield of their own making. They didn't curse you, they cursed themselves. Their evil bounced back, multiplied, intensified, and wrapped itself around their life like a shadow they can't outrun. Because, when you are chosen, anyone who tries to harm you spiritually destroys their own life, long before they ever reach yours. Chosen one. Understand this on a level deeper than words. Every spell they sent toward you, every ritual whispered in the darkness, every drop of envy, every curse hidden behind a smile, every attempt to tamper with your destiny through black magic, it all returned to them with a force that shattered their own life. Not because you fought it, not because you sensed it, not because you knew how to defend yourself, but because Allah wrapped your soul in a protection they could never penetrate. When Allah chooses someone, He surrounds them with an unseen fortress, layers of angels, divine mercy, spiritual light, and guidance, and no dark force can cross that boundary. They thought their spell would enter your home, but it bounced back and entered theirs. They thought their curse would poison your path, but it seeped into their own future. They thought their rituals would confuse your mind, but the confusion landed in their own decisions. They thought they were sending harm your way, but Allah turned it into harm for them 10 times worse, 100 times heavier. Because the believer is never touched by magic unless Allah allows it, and Allah does not allow darkness to enter the life of someone whose heart calls on Him sincerely. What they didn't know is that every time they tried to curse you, the angels watching over you wrote it down as a sin against themselves, a weapon they fired at their own soul. Your divine protection didn't just block the attack, it reversed it, magnified it, and sent it back to its sender. And this is why their peace died. This is why their luck dried up. This is why their relationships fell apart. This is why their home became a battlefield. They thought they were harming you, but all they did was peel back the veil on their own destruction, because you, chosen one, carry a light that cannot be touched. And the more they attacked you, the more Allah revealed the depth of your protection, a protection that turns every spell into their own downfall, every curse into their own suffering, and every attempt to break you into a divine punishment that breaks them instead. Chosen one, understand this with the deepest spiritual awareness. The reason their life became cursed, dried, shattered, and hollow is not because you prayed against them, nor because you fought them, nor because you wished punishment upon them. It is because they dared to challenge what Allah Himself decreed for you. And nothing in existence collapses faster than a person who tries to overpower divine destiny. When Allah writes ease for you, no one can write difficulty. When Allah writes elevation for you, no one can drag you down. When Allah chooses you for light, no darkness can drown you. And when someone tries to interfere with this divine script through witchcraft, jealousy, manipulation, and attempts to spiritually sabotage your life, they are not just wronging you, they are committing war against the decree of Allah. That is why the curse didn't fall on your path, it fell on theirs. They tried to block the doors Allah was opening for you, and all the doors in their own life slammed shut. They tried to steal your blessings, and their own blessings evaporated. They tried to delay your destiny, and Allah delayed their entire life. They tried to dim your light, and Allah turned their world dark. They didn't realize that every chosen one walks with divine timing, divine protection, and divine supervision, and challenging that is like stepping into a storm with no shelter, like jumping into a fire with no armor, like trying to extinguish the sun with a handful of water. Their downfall was not accidental. It was a direct response from the heavens. When they sat in circles of witchcraft calling your name, the angels wrote their destruction next to their own. When they plotted in jealousy, Allah stripped their heart of peace. When they tried to rewrite your destiny, Allah rewrote theirs, and what He wrote was loss, regret, humiliation, and spiritual emptiness. And the more they pushed against Allah's decree for you, the faster their own life began to rot from the inside out. People often ask, why is everything going wrong for them? The answer is simple. They fought Allah's plan. They fought a destiny that wasn't theirs to touch, and when a person does that, the curse is not temporary, it becomes a lifelong consequence unless they sincerely repent. Their life became cursed because they tried to manipulate Allah's will for someone He elevated. They challenged the author of fate, and the price for that is destruction written in permanent ink. Chosen one, understand this truth with the weight it deserves. Before Allah elevates you, He will always expose the one who tried to destroy you in the unseen, because Allah does not allow a chosen servant to rise while being surrounded by hidden enemies, witches in disguise, or people whose hearts are darker than their smiles, and that exposure is not random, it is deliberate divine protection. The one who used witchcraft on you thought they were operating in perfect secrecy. They believed their rituals were invisible, their intentions were undetectable. Their envy was hidden behind soft words and fake concern. They believed they could curse you at night and bless you in the morning without being caught. But Allah, the one who knows what is concealed in the chests, begins revealing their reality piece by piece, starting with the tightening of your intuition, the sudden discomfort you feel around them, the inexplicable heaviness in your chest when they speak, the dreams that warned you, the spiritual unease that wouldn't leave your heart, that was Allah whispering. Pay attention long before you saw any physical evidence. And then slowly their mask begins to crack. Their jealousy becomes harder for them to hide. Their tone slips, their eyes reveal resentment, their behavior becomes inconsistent and strangely desperate, because darkness cannot coexist with the light you carry. And as Allah continues peeling away their illusions, He orchestrates moments where their own actions betray them, where their lies contradict themselves, where someone unexpected exposes something they said, where you stumble upon something they were hiding, until Allah presents the truth in a way you can no longer deny. This exposure, this unveiling, is not meant to hurt you but to protect you, because Allah will never let you walk into your next chapter holding hands with someone who was secretly trying to spiritually bury you. And the moment their reality is exposed, everything in your life begins to shift. Your mind clears, your energy lifts, your path opens, your blessings accelerate, your heart becomes lighter, because the spiritual blockage, the poison in your environment, the darkness in your circle has finally been removed. And the most powerful part is this: they weren't exposed because you went searching for the truth. They weren't exposed because you investigated. They weren't exposed because you confronted them. No, they were exposed because Allah wanted them out before He elevated you. Because He refuses to let a chosen soul rise while being surrounded by snakes dressed as companions. So understand this deeply. Chosen one, their exposure was your liberation. Their downfall was your protection. Their mask breaking was the beginning of your elevation. And Allah revealed their reality, not to embarrass them, but to free you from a connection that was poisoning your destiny, because the light you are about to walk into is too sacred, too powerful, too divinely written to be contaminated by someone who used darkness to touch your name. And that is why, before the chosen one rises, Allah always exposes the witch, not after, not later, but before, so that your ascent is pure, protected, and unstoppable. Chosen one. Understand this with absolute clarity. When someone curses a soul who did nothing but stay innocent, silent, and patient, they do not just commit a sin, they sign a spiritual contract with destruction. And that contract becomes their life sentence, written by their own hands, not by yours, not by envy, not by circumstance, but by the injustice they willingly committed against a heart that never wished them harm. And that is why their curse returned to them with a force they were never prepared to handle, because Allah never allows darkness to overcome light, never allows oppression to overpower purity, never allows the one who planned evil to win over the one who relied only on Him. What they did to you was not a reaction to anything you caused. It was a reflection of who they were inside: corrupt, jealous, spiritually empty, and desperate to hurt someone whose soul was far beyond their reach. And because you did nothing to deserve it, because you didn't retaliate, because you didn't fight back with the same energy, because you simply stayed silent, hurt, confused, praying to Allah and trying to understand why this was happening to you, your innocence became the evidence that sealed their fate. Allah does not punish people because you are chosen. Allah punishes people because they crossed a boundary. He commanded them never to cross. The boundary of harming a believer without right. The boundary of using witchcraft, an act that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said is among the major sins that destroy the soul. The boundary of trying to change a destiny Allah already wrote. They tried to curse your finances, yet theirs collapsed. They tried to block your path, and suddenly every path in their life shut down. They tried to ruin your relationships, and now they walk through life unable to maintain even simple human bonds, because the darkness they used has wrapped around their heart like chains. They tried to stop your growth, but instead they stopped their own future. They tried to break your spirit, but in the process, their own spirit began to rot under the weight of their sin. You didn't harm them, you simply existed, and your existence was enough to trigger the jealousy inside them. And because you stayed clean while they used forbidden means, your purity became your shield, and their destruction became the natural result of their own choices. That is why Allah allowed the curse to cling to them, not as revenge for you, but as justice for what they dared to do. Because the spiritual universe operates under divine law, what you send returns. And when you send something evil towards someone whose soul is protected by angels, that evil has no destination except back to the sender. They cannot escape it, they cannot undo it, they cannot reverse it without sincere repentance, because the curse they created is tied to the intention behind it, and their intention was to destroy someone who never harmed them. This is why their life now feels heavy, why their nights are restless, why their plans collapse without warning, why people walk away from them, why blessings flee from their home, because the curse they made in secret became the prison they live in publicly. And you, chosen one, are not the reason they suffer. You are simply the mirror Allah used to expose who they truly were. Their curse became their life sentence because oppression carries its own punishment, and witchcraft carries its own destruction, and harming an innocent carries its own spiritual consequence. The curse didn't follow them because of you, it followed them because Allah is just, and Allah defends the one who places their trust in Him. Chosen one, understand this with soul-deep clarity. Every attack that was meant to break you, every whisper of envy that tried to invade your mind, every ritual of witchcraft sent in darkness, every curse, every ill intention, every attempt to block your path, every betrayal, every subtle manipulation, every act of malice, none of it touched your essence, none of it diminished your soul, and none of it derailed the plan Allah has written for you, because Allah does not merely protect His chosen servants. He turns their enemies' attacks into instruments of their elevation, their patience, and their spiritual fortitude. And every time someone tried to harm you, Allah was secretly building you from within, forging your heart, sharpening your mind, strengthening your spirit, and purifying your soul in ways the human eye cannot see. They thought they were causing fear, but Allah caused resilience. They thought they were creating weakness, but Allah caused unshakable strength. They thought they were bringing despair, but Allah caused clarity, patience, and unwavering faith. Every whisper of malice they sent became a mirror that reflected their own corruption, while simultaneously becoming a ladder for your elevation. Every betrayal became a test that deepened your reliance on Allah. Every curse and attempt to manipulate your destiny became a divine lesson in vigilance, self-discipline, and reliance upon the one who never fails. And the night you cried alone over what they tried to do, Allah planted resilience. The moment you woke feeling small, confused, or betrayed, Allah was teaching you that true power is internal, unseen, and untouchable. The very darkness they used to attack you was the material Allah used to ignite the light within you, to sharpen your intuition, to expand your spiritual senses, to purify your intentions, to teach you patience that cannot be shaken, and to grow strength that cannot be measured by human standards. Understand this, chosen one. They did not realize that every act of darkness they launched was catalogued by the angels, recorded in the heavens, and redirected as nourishment for your soul. Every attempt to block your progress became the very means through which Allah elevated you higher than they could imagine. And while they slept in their secrecy, plotting harm, Allah was orchestrating your rise, placing angels to guard your nights, placing guidance to illuminate your days, and placing unseen barriers between you and every spell, curse, or ill intention they sent, so that nothing could touch you except what Allah allowed. And what He allowed was always protection, growth, and empowerment. Every hardship, every betrayal, every act of darkness became a tool in Allah's hands to fortify your soul, strengthen your heart, sharpen your faith, and ensure that when the world finally sees you, they will see not a victim, but a victorious chosen one who walked through fire untouched, who stood strong while others fell into their own traps, who rose higher while those who tried to break them crumbled under the weight of their own evil. And now, chosen one, you carry within you a strength, a resilience, a clarity, a spiritual armor, and an unshakable light that were all forged from the very attacks that were meant to destroy you. Because Allah does not merely protect His chosen, He empowers them through the trials, the attacks, the curses, the betrayals, and the darkness sent their way. And this is the divine law of the universe. Any attempt to harm a chosen one, any spell, any curse, any manipulation, any betrayal, any ill intention, any darkness aimed at them, Allah transforms into spiritual power, resilience, insight, protection, and elevation, turning every attempt of destruction into the material of unstoppable rise, leaving the attacker weak, broken, and spiritually exposed, while the chosen one emerges untouchable, luminous, and divinely elevated, carrying the light that no darkness can touch, the strength that no curse can diminish, and the unshakable faith that no attack can destroy. Chosen one, understand this truth with every fiber of your being. Everything they tried to hide from the world, the curses whispered in darkness, the spells woven in secret, the manipulations behind smiles, the schemes they thought nobody could see, the spiritual attacks they believed would go unnoticed, the envy they carried silently while pretending to be kind, every single effort aimed at keeping you small, unseen, and powerless is being rewritten by Allah in a way they could never imagine, because Allah does not merely protect His chosen servants in silence. He elevates them in ways the world can witness. He turns private attacks into public honor. He transforms hidden schemes into the very instruments of your glory, and He ensures that while they plotted in darkness, the light that surrounds you grows so bright that nothing they intended can touch it, and everything they hope to keep hidden about you becomes the very stage on which your triumph is displayed. Every curse, every ill intention, every ritual of darkness, every whisper against your name, every attempt to tarnish your reputation or block your destiny is being flipped by the decree of Allah to work in your favor, magnifying your blessings, multiplying your opportunities, and amplifying your influence beyond what you could have achieved without these trials, because the same energy they used to try to destroy you is being used to lift you higher, to make your victories visible to all, to turn your elevation into a public testament of divine justice, to ensure that the world sees the truth of who you are and the falseness of those who opposed you, and as they cower in the consequences of their own evil, as they realize the futility of their efforts, as they face the collapse of their schemes, your honor rises in full view, untouchable, undeniable, and luminous, because Allah's protection is never hidden, His justice is never delayed in vain, and His decree for the chosen one is always perfect in timing, transforming private attacks into public glory, secret plots into visible victories, hidden jealousy into a witness for your blessings, and every effort to suppress your light into an amplifier for it, so that while they whispered in darkness, the world will see your name praised, your status elevated, your accomplishments celebrated, your character recognized, your influence magnified, and your light shining so brightly that even the most powerful of them cannot hide the truth of their own failure, cannot hide the contrast between their darkness and your divine protection, cannot hide that Allah has chosen you and that nothing, no spell, no curse, no secret plan, no human or jinn interference can undo what He has written for you. And in that moment, chosen one, the world will witness the exact way they tried to destroy you secretly, being mirrored as the way Allah honors you publicly, because what they aimed to bury is now flourishing, what they aimed to block is now flowing, what they aimed to hide is now shining, what they whispered in fear and secrecy is now declared in the light of divine truth, and their shame, regret, and impotence will serve as the backdrop to your victory, your honor, your status, and your recognition, because Allah's protection of the chosen is not hidden, it is manifest, not subtle, it is undeniable, not silent, it is declared through the elevation, blessings, and public honor of the one He has chosen, and this is the ultimate law of the chosen one. Every attempt to destroy them in secret becomes the mechanism for Allah to honor them publicly. Every ill intention is flipped into blessing, every hidden curse is transformed into elevation, every dark plan is reversed into testimony of divine justice, and every person who tried to harm them without cause will see, in the clearest, most undeniable way, that the chosen cannot be touched by darkness without that darkness first magnifying their light, that every attack, curse, and manipulation aimed at them becomes the instrument of their public elevation, that Allah's timing is flawless, His decree is perfect, His protection is absolute, and His honor for the chosen is not just spiritual, it is visible, undeniable, and unavoidable, ensuring that what was whispered in secret becomes celebrated in public, what was plotted in darkness becomes displayed in light, what was meant to destroy becomes the very reason they rise, and what they tried to hide from the world becomes the very reason the world cannot ignore the greatness, sanctity, and divine selection of the one they attempted to harm, because Allah does not honor the chosen. Quietly He declares it, He amplifies it, He makes it witnessed, He makes it undeniable, He makes it unstoppable, and He turns every hidden attack into a visible triumph, ensuring that the chosen one walks through life with the certainty that no one can interfere with what Allah has written, no one can diminish what He has decreed, no one can hide the truth of His protection, and no one can ever take away the honor, blessings, recognition, and divine elevation that are already theirs, because what they tried to destroy in secret becomes the very reason the world witnesses their glory, their light, and their divine honor, and that is the promise of Allah for the chosen one. Secret attacks are transformed into public elevation, hidden curses are converted into visible blessings, and all who sought to harm them will watch as the heavens declare His protection, His justice, and His perfect timing in the most undeniable way possible. Chosen one, as you reflect on these lessons, know this with absolute certainty. Every curse sent against you, every attack designed to break you, every act of darkness meant to halt your rise has already been transformed by Allah into the very instruments of your elevation, protection, and honor. You were never alone. You were never vulnerable. You were never at the mercy of human hands or the whispers of envy, because Allah Himself was working behind the scenes, turning every hidden scheme into a step on your ladder of victory, every ill intention into fuel for your growth, and every secret attack into a testimony of His divine protection. The people who tried to harm you, who envied you, who used witchcraft, who whispered curses, are now living the consequences of their own choices, while you walk untouched, elevated, and luminous, carrying the light that no darkness can ever penetrate. Remember, chosen one, the attacks were never your punishment, they were your preparation. The curses were never your end, they were your proof. The darkness was never your enemy, it was your classroom, your testing ground, and your shield. So, step forward with confidence, because every step you take is guided, every move you make is protected, and every blessing you receive is a public declaration of Allah's favor, ensuring that the world witnesses what they tried to hide, that the heavens applaud what they tried to destroy, and that your light shines so brightly that no envy, no magic, no plot, no secret scheme can ever dim it. You are the chosen, you are protected, you are honored. Walk forward, chosen one, and let the world see what happens when Allah Himself declares His chosen victorious.